guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to this week's video. I promised I was going to add pockets to this cardigan, and of course, I did. Just like I promised, I did. And we have not just one, but two. That actually has my phone. Two. We have two pockets. There's no money in there, but yeah, that's the first step, is just having the pockets, and we are going to put money inside when I am done with this intro. But yeah, welcome back to this week's video. I made this cardigan last week if you guys haven't seen it. And if this is your first time stopping by, you can check the tutorial right here. And in that video, I promised I was going to add pockets to this cardigan because who doesn't want an outfit with pockets like we all do, just so you can be safe, just hiding your hands and fingers, especially when it's cold. So I decided to add pockets. And of course, the pockets had to be solid. The cardigan itself is a mesh cardigan, but I know I was not going to make the pockets mesh because then my phone or whatever I put inside will be falling off. But yeah, this is how it turned out. I love it. Now I feel like I want to grab all my cardigans and add pockets to them. Originally I wanted to do like front pockets, but I just thought, you know what, I'd like to use a belt on this cardigan, and also the buttons at the front is already giving the front too much attention, and I feel like a front pocket would have done way more, which I didn't want. So I decided to do invisible pockets, so like inside pockets. I think this is way more cuter and nicer. I love this one. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any questions, you can leave them down below. I also have all the materials used in the description box below, and I'm also going to link the tutorial for this full cardigan also down below. So if you want, obviously you have to make that before you can add the pocket, so go make that first if you haven't. But if you have and you were waiting for this video, I love you. I'll see you guys next week for next week's video. Bye bye. Let's get started with the pattern. We are going to be using a slip stitch for this. Obviously, because it's a pocket, we want to make sure that it's solid and not a mesh, because if we make a mesh, whatever you put inside that pocket is going to obviously fall off. So we are going to be using a slip stitch for this, and also the pocket depends on whatever size you're going for. I am going to use a 7 by 5 or 6, 7 by 7 actually. So I will be using a 7 by 7 measurement for one side of the pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and make a chain that is 7 inches long. So I chained a total of 30 chains, and it is more than 7 inches when you take the measurement now. But because it's a slip stitch, I know this is going to eventually shrink to 7 inches after a few rows. So I like to just chain an additional 1. And from here on, we are going to go into the second chain with a slip stitch. So right into the second chain, I am going to insert a slip stitch, and I'm just carefully going to go into the next with 1 slip stitch and repeat 1 slip stitch until I get to the very end of the row. So you should have something like this at the end of the row. We are going to start row 2 by chaining 1. So with your working yarn, you are going to chain 1 and turn, and we will be working into the back loop of these next rows. So we have the back and we have the front, so I'm going to insert into the back loop. I am going to insert a slip stitch again, and just carefully going to find the back loop of each stitch from the previous row, and I'm going to insert 1 slip stitch like this until I get to the very end of the row. Careful. So this is what you should have after row 2. You are going to repeat the same thing. You also want to make sure that you're making your way up until the very last stitch, and then from there on you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you are going to insert a slip stitch again into the back loop of each and every stitch for the end of row 3, and you're going to repeat this until you have a total of 7 inches actually, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when I have 7 inches. So you can also use a half double crochet or a single crochet like I mentioned. The only reason why I'm using this is because that's what I used for the cardigan itself. So I want, even when my pockets are outside, you can still see that the stitches does align with the stitches around the sleeves. So that's the only reason why I'm using the slip stitch. So you can obviously decide what you want to use for your own pocket. So I'm just going to repeat this, and then I'll see you guys when I have my length, the first half of my pocket, because we need to make 4 of these. Hi guys, so I just finished the first pattern for the pocket. I actually have to do 3 more because we will be attaching the 2 together for one pocket and the other 2 for the other pocket, because I'm going to be using the side pocket. So I'm honestly just going to spend the entire morning. It's currently 10:22 and I'm going to spend my entire morning working on the 3 other pattern for the pocket. It's going to be the same exact pattern, so I'm going to chain the same amount of chains, and I'm going to start with a slip stitch and do the same thing. I cannot keep up with the numbers of rows that I did, obviously, because this is a slip stitch, so I honestly don't want to bother keeping up with it. So I'm just going to be using my measurement tape to take the measurement as I go. These pockets literally took me 4 hours. What am I saying? It's currently 2 p.m. Literally, I don't know why it took me so long, but what I did was I made an entire full panel. So I just wanted to show you guys that you can make, instead of making 2 separate panels like this, you can also make a full panel, but you obviously want to make sure that it's the same width. So when you fold this, you kind of have like 3 and half or 4 panels actually. It took me well longer than I thought it was going to, so now I am tired, but we are going to finish this pockets today. No choice. I have no choice. I'm not taking this tomorrow now. So we are going to get started with the pocket. If you already have your cardigan complete, then you're just like me. We are in the same category. But even if you haven't gotten yours attached or complete yet, I'm still going to be able to explain this to a certain extent so you can know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to do one on one side, and I'm going to go ahead and do the other one without showing the entire process, because it's basically the same exact step. So we are going to grab a measurement tape. We are going to take 8 inches from under the armpit area. So right there I have my sleeve. Right there I have my sleeve. With my measurement tape, I am going to take a measurement 8 inches downwards, and that is what this is the point that I'm going to use to have my pockets attached. So I'm going to grab a stitch marker and mark this 8 inches spot. From here on, I did attach my sleeve, my 2 sides of the panel together from the upper part all the way down to the lower part, which means I can actually go ahead and take this off. But if you did go through the tutorial, that's honestly what I showed also as well. That was the instructions. But if you kind of did it the other way around, all you have to do is just take off the entire sleeve, the entire attachment around the sides of the panels. So I'm going to just struggle, find my way and take that off. I found it, so I'm going to take off the stitches I have along the way until I get to the area that I marked with my 8 inches. Oh, this is where I marked, so I'm just going to take off the stitches along the way until I get to that marked area, which I think should be about this end. So right there, I am now going to do a loop, because I obviously don't want to make my way all the way up to the very top, because we have no business going up to the top. We only have to deal with from this marked area downwards. So I'm just going to draw the loop, and I'm going to pass my excess yarn off because I will be needing that as well to continue with the pattern. So now you can grab one of your pockets, and again, the pocket is obviously going to be inside, so we want to just single crochet this end of the pocket together. So I'm going to go through that loop that I already have my working yarn on the the pattern itself, and I'm going to grab one end of the pocket. So again, you can either make the pocket like this, so you can either use this side or you can use this side. For me, it's the same measurement, 6.5 inches on each side, so it doesn't really matter for me. So you're going to now go into this very first stitch, and you're going to go into the very first stitch on the side of the panel. What we're basically doing is we are not attaching the two ends of the panel together, we are attaching this end of the pockets to this end of the panel. So we still have this panel which we're going to come back to. We just want to attach this edge of it to this edge. So from here on, I am going to single crochet the two ends of it, so the pockets will be single crochet to the mesh pattern. But if I now go ahead and single crochet this just the same this way, it's going to leave the seam on the outwards, which I don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the pocket and flip this over, and I'm now going to single crochet. So when I'm done, I flip this over, the seam is going to be inwards. And to single crochet, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my way down just the same way I would single crochet the two ends of the mesh. That's the same pattern that I'm using. The only difference is this is going to be a single crochet row of a mesh and then a slip stitch pattern. Honestly, that's the only difference. So I'm just going to carefully single crochet the mesh and the slip stitch pattern together, panel together, until I get to the very end of the row. And right here, I just single crocheted the one side. Again, this is what I mean by when you flip this over, you have the seamless area and then you have the seam on the side. So the next part for this is we are going to grab the second half of the pocket. So with the second half of the pocket, all you're going to do is the exact same thing. You are going to reattach your yarn at the very top, but this time around you are going to attach that to this side of the panel. So the second half of the pocket is going to be attached to this mesh pattern on the right, because the first one has already been attached to the left. So I still have my yarn on there, so I'm just going to seal that off so it doesn't unravel. Nice. Again, I am going to grab the yarn and the crochet hook, and I'm going to reattach my yarn to the same exact spot. And I like to just make double knots. And now I can take off the stitch marker because I already know where my pockets will be attached, so I don't have to use this anymore. So I'm just going to take that off. And from here on, again, like I said, the same exact thing, I'm going to attach one end of the sleeve to the right part of the mesh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sleeve. Why am I saying sleeve? Into the pocket, and I'm going to just grab that. And what am I going to do from here? I'm just going to chain one. Again, because I want the seam to eventually be inwards, I am going to flip this over and do the exact same thing by single crocheting all the way to the very end. We are going to attach the pockets all around, but we are going to start from the top. So right from the top, you are going to reattach your yarn right there, and you are going to go through. So you're going through, and all the way to the other side, and then from the other side, you are now just going to seal the entire sides of the cardigan, just like that. And then when you're done, you're just gonna, you guys are gonna see how it works, but I am going to cut off the yarn that I have on this side, just because I want to make sure I do everything in just one go instead of just cutting and reattaching again. So like I said, but this time around we are going to just flip this over, because this is the good side, so you want to flip this back to the wrong side, and you want to make sure that the seam is matching the seam around the armpit area. That's just logic. And you are now going to grab your yarn and your crochet hook again, like I said, reattach that to the very top of both of the pockets, and you are now going to just make a secure knot. And just do what I just said by single crocheting the two ends from the top and the very edge, and then down to the side and all the way down to the very end of the cardigan. So I just finished single crocheting everything, so you guys can see that it is sealed. Now I can just go ahead and turn this over, and we have a pocket, guys. We have a very little tiny dolly pocket right here.